After studying the destruction of Hiroshima by the atomic bomb and hearing a personal narrative from a survivor of the atomic bomb, we decided that we could connect that to the reconstruction of the Tohoku region after the tsunami in 2011. In deciding that this was a trip that we wanted to take, we decided that using a documentary film to capture personal narrative, to capture the story of the people in Rikuzen Takata, was the way to go.
We wanted to choose the best team possible, full of motivated individuals who had a profound connection to the topic and also had the technical skills in order to make the short documentary. The team was chosen based on their ability to maintain academic good standing despite missing classes and taking on a large side project. And the production team roles were determined based on each individual's skill set. In planning for this trip, we spoke to our host city specialist, Jackie Ikegami, and we told her that we needed a fixer who could take us up to the Tohoku region. Our ideal fixer would not be a guide. It would be someone who could enable us to make personal connections with the people that we could meet there. They would also be understanding of the flexibility required in order to film, and they would allow us to craft our own experience based on what we're trying to produce in the product.
Kaz Maki, former city councilman in a city near Hiroshima, was the ideal fit. He provided the connections as well as considered the succession of our trip to enable us to craft our story. In our first pre-trip meeting in the Hiroshima Peace Park, we transferred the responsibility for the project to the students. We explained to them what each of their roles would be and let them get started in creating their mission statement. In follow-up meetings, we connected them to industry-related experts such as documentarians and oral historians. We watched related documentaries and had Skype conversations with the filmmakers. The students worked with our fixer to carefully craft an itinerary that would serve their mission. There were certain skills that we wanted each of the students to walk away from this project with, that both were individual skills and team-based skills, such as communication, emotional capacity, teamwork, rapport-building skills, lessons that we would identify in the context of our trip that we could then talk out, whether it was content related on natural disasters or production related, like skills of video filming and editing. We also wanted students to walk away with a handful of reflection tools that they would be able to use again and again in their years at Think Global School. There were also a bunch of challenges that the students faced while on site in Tohoku and Rikuzen Takata. One of those challenges that we faced was responsibility. Students losing items or leaving items back in the hotel. We wanted them to learn that their individual responsibility had an effect on the group's dynamic each day in filming. There were also technical difficulties with production. We had some equipment malfunctions and different ideas of how the documentary should be made, which all had to be worked out. Another challenge that we faced was managing personalities of roles on the team. We faced the challenges of technical malfunctions and video equipment not working properly, and attitude became a big thing that we had to overcome. We had to realize how to get over things and leave them in the past and move forward for the goal of the product. Lindsay and I witnessed a lot of growth in each of our students during our trip in Tohoku. Through each encounter with another citizen of Rikuzen Takata, their skill level increased, both interviewing and speaking. Team cohesiveness and communication capacity increased. Emotional and conceptual understandings increased. Student-led differentiation of tasks increased, which means that students were able to identify which students were stronger in certain things than others, and they started divvying up responsibilities based on student abilities. We saw a huge growth in skill of conducting interviews. Our interviewers were able to accentuate their questions and listen and ask the right follow-up questions by the end of our time in Tohoku. Reflection activities was something we also noticed a strong amount of growth with. The students at first needed to be asked questions and then would follow up with the direct answers. By the end of the trip, students were just freely offering information and posing deep reflection questions that the students would then talk about and discuss on their own.
In hindsight, we were able to identify these successes based on the trip's structure. The first 2 days, we modeled how to take an experienced reality and turn it into a learned reality, where we modeled the skills needed, facilitated reflection on the experience, and reiterated roles and responsibilities for each person. Reflections were first facilitated and then student-led, once the students were equipped with methods with which to process their experiences, And it was in those moments where we really saw the students learning how to think and not what to think. The succession of activities and interactions that we had started from a personal level, where the kids were able to get a visceral understanding of the experience, of the disaster, of the effects on the community and the person. And it moved into more of the global way of thinking, which does follow a person's necessary progression of global understanding. Our trip was structured with something major to look forward to at the end. And in our case, it was the interview with the mayor and the deputy mayor of Rikuzen Takata. In every opportunity that we had to conduct interviews and to film before that, we had the additional drive to acquire the skills in filming and interviewing in order to really make sure that we took full advantage of that opportunity. We're back from the trip and now in post-production. There is a continuation of the responsibilities that were established at the end of the trip, and we continue to supply them with additional information and access to different experts in the field.
The students created a timeline for their final product. Whereas their focus is on finishing this documentary film, our focus as teachers is to showcase their achievements and handle global outreach along the way that we're creating this production.
Are you excited for the final release?
I'm pretty excited for the final piece in June. Get ready.